So we decided to offer this group-based approach, and here's a little picture of one of the activities. Some of you might recognise yourselves. And in this activity, I think what we're doing, we're looking at some cards that had illustrations, had pictures on them, and we were sort of getting people to think about, well, what does lipedema feel like to you? And people were using illustrations on cards to describe their experience of lipedema. So another way of tapping in to what it feels like. So you can see that some of this was a sort of experiential and kind of working activity course. It wasn't just about us sort of standing there and going, this is what you do, this is what you do. It was really about learning from each other, hopefully. That's, I think, what happened. And we do know from quite a lot of research, although a lot of the research has been done a few years back, that when you do group-based support, you get better peer support, you allow people to learn from each other, people are more motivated, and you can, so there's some information there on research studies that have been done. But there is another little thing around this, is it the group, should it be led by people with the condition, or should it be led by professionals? So we just did both, didn't we? So Isabel and I worked together on that. I can't remember which way round it was, but. So actually we were really strongly pleased to do this. You can see in a way it worked really well. So what we've done up to now is we've run one course in Motherwell in the Health and Wellness Hub, which is in Albert Street in Motherwell. And that's a social enterprise. So again, fitting a bit with our own ethos as a charity. And we're halfway through the one in Auchendirnie, which is in Midlothian. And we've got 13 people on that in the Glen Course Centre with 2 more sessions to do. And each course had 5 sessions, 2.5 hours each, because we thought you can't do a whole day, but if you just come for an hour, that's not quite enough. So it's like a morning or an afternoon. And we have a pre-course booklet. There's resources that people do before. They're invited to do a self-compassion exercise, because that voice that's not very kind to yourself, but maybe you need to think about, we like people to think about how they talk with themselves and how kind they are to themselves, how compassionate. We've got a self-assessment form where people can fill that in and perhaps even take that to a health professional, and information about lipedema. We've also had external colleagues working. We've had volunteer. Fiona's been doing that with us, which has been lovely. We've had movement therapists, Tripudio, Pilates, yoga and mindfulness on the courses. We've had an expert from Pain Association Scotland who came along, who did one of the sessions, and they do a lot of self-management courses. And the compression companies have been brilliant in supporting us with these as well. So just so you know, get a feel for what we did, we've kind of thought, how many should we have? 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks? It was really hard to know. So we had to be a bit pragmatic. We started off with 4 weeks, and then they persuaded us to do another, and actually I think we had another, but we won't tell anybody. Don't tell the funders. No. But so in week 1, we looked at understanding lipedema, we looked at personal experiences, got people to share that, looking at their own plans and goals, and then on week 2, looking at eating healthily for lipedema and a movement activity, then onto practical self-care. So you can see how we started to work through some of the things that were important. And there are probably things that, are missing still. Pain and fatigue seem to be really important, emotional, mental health, relaxation and planning. So you can see we tried to also work a little bit with what the group wanted as well. But you can see there's lots of scope to do different things. And I just wanted to tell you, and this is because Laurie's going to pick up on this in a minute, but we've also, in the work that we've been doing, and Isabel really is the key person here, we've been looking at our whole ethos and what we believe in terms of what our approach to eating healthily should be. Now, we've not got all the answers here, but we're on a bit of a journey as a charity, moving away from the restrictive dietary approach, looking at doing activities that enable people to become more self-aware around their relationship with foods. Now, we're not therapists, but we're using very practical ways of helping people think about what this means to them. And we've got more to come. Isabel, as you mentioned, Isabel's been making different recipes, and we've been trying different recipes on the course and getting juices last week. They were fantastic colour. A bit like that, actually, that Sky has. This is Sky, who's one of our young women with lipedema that you'll probably see in time as well, because she's done some videos for us. And these are some of the things that we got people to do. Those of you who've been on the course will recognise this. There's a wheel, so you've got 0 to 10. What's your priority? You know, thinking about what you need to think about for you. Can you prioritise what's important to you? So again, it's not just about us telling people what to do, it's about them understanding themselves and what's a priority for them, and them also knowing where to get the help or where to go to become, in a way, it is that empowered word. It's about them then finding out from other people what may be help for them and then learning from each other. So we're evaluating this, we're doing feedback forms, we've got 3-month follow-up from the first group, which has been great. We're doing a couple of different sheets that we've got permission to use, evaluation forms, a mental health wellbeing scale, and a quality of life scale. So that's going to be interesting to see, although it isn't a research study, but it's going to give us a few insights. And what we would really like is that, you know, in time, that's evidence that allows us to continue these in different areas. And after the 3 months, this just gives you a bit of an idea. When we ask people, the course helped me to make changes in how I care for myself, you can see the majority strongly agreed with that. So they were all near this end. What was maybe a bit more difficult is the course helped me to improve my quality of life. And you can see that that's a kind of difficult one, because quality of life is so many different things. And in actual fact, maybe that's difficult to improve quality of life just through a course. So maybe that's a longer term process. So you can see some of the comments about getting information, knowing other people, mind-blowing after years of being alone. Sad that we're end of the course. The course was fantastic, but it could be longer. I've learned that I need to be kinder to myself. That's really important. And thank you to Talk Lipoedema. But I should say, I think the group have, like Lindsay was saying earlier, you've got yourselves together, you've got a WhatsApp group, and you've now that contact. Hopefully what we'd like to see is, as we run these groups, we've now started to get local groups in parts of Scotland that begin to, you know, that keep going. And for us as a charity, we've got to think about how do we support that, you know, and how might that work. So some of our graduates, some of them are here, beautiful photo, I think. And so the future for us is just, you know, if you look at that pyramid, those of you that are healthcare professionals will maybe remember, we used to talk a lot about this, you know, the group of people with the condition who maybe have early condition or who self-care, and then the group who need more sort of input, some more support, and the group who need specialist care, the sort of things that Alex Munnett used to do with surgery. So my question would be, you know, where does this self-management course fit in? Where does Living Well with Lipedema fit in? Does it fit in maybe for all those groups? And how could we do that? Could we even start to work with our NHS colleagues to run these groups in different areas across different health boards? And that would be really interesting. That would be really exciting to look at ways of doing that. So we're open to ideas. More funding, that's the kind of bottom line. So thank you to all our course participants for everything that they brought to the courses, because it really wouldn't have worked without them, and it's just been a fantastic experience for Isabel and I and those involved, Fiona I think too, yeah. So thank you.